Net zero, the new religion of fear. To enable people to get out of poverty, we need energy, lots of it. We'll come back to the flaws of net zero and dangers of net zero later, but we've never had it so good. But by design, the net zero camp eco warriors want to take us back into the Middle Ages. Carbon dioxide, friend or foe? Carbon dioxide, CO2, for the scientists out there, is the food of all life. To blame CO2 for the alleged global catastrophe we are allegedly heading towards isn't even flawed science. It's not even science, it's pure rhetoric. 78 years on from the end of World War II in Europe, people ask, how did the Germans stand by and let this happen? Well, there's a simple answer to that one. Fear. 78 years from now, if the so-called eco-warriors get their way and the world is turned to a desert, if anybody survives the hunger and hardships coming, future generations will ask, how did we stand by and let it happen? It's the same answer. Fear. Well, actually, it's fear and apathy. We're being bombarded with false information which defies the laws of physics. You can't change the laws of physics. People who stand up to it are shouted down and are called deniers. Some people get death threats. Others just accept the information and get on with wondering how they're going to pay the next bill. I'm an environmentalist, and I love this beautiful planet we live on. I fear these eco-terrorists are a threat to all life. When they're not gluing themselves to a road or chaining themselves to a tree, they throw statistic at us who dare to challenge them. Their favourite statistics is 97% of scientists believe that in global climate change. That's up there with 8 out of 10 cats prefer Whiskers cat food. This is absolutely from a flawed survey from 77 anonymous scientists who were pro the United Nations. Climate is changing. Climate has always changed. Climate will continue to change. What's changed is their language. First of all, the fear was brought out about under the campaign of climate change. Then when they realised that climate has always changed, they changed it to climate warming. That wasn't good enough, so now we're on to climate catastrophe. There will be no climate catastrophe unless they get their way. No scientist makes a correlation between CO2 and climate change. If anything, climate changes the levels of CO2, not CO2 changing the climate. Remember, CO2 is the food of life. The media. Fear has been promoted by the media. They sell their brand on a disaster. They loved COVID. We were all glued to the television for the daily inputs from the Prime Minister. Yeah. The same scientists would still have us wearing masks. Those same scientists, for the first time in their lives, people were looking at their graphs, listening to their models, which are based on coulds, maybes. They used their graphs and models as weapons of control. Haven't seen how much power and control they got. The latest one is climate catastrophe. So every time we get heavy rain, every time we get bad weather, it's blamed on climate catastrophe. Well, if that's the case, the number and severity of weather events has decreased in the last 150 years. And in the same period, deaths resulting from climate events has reduced by 95%. There is no news in a peaceful forest. There is no news in a cow grazing in a field. You're not going to see a journalist standing by herd of cows saying, "This is sensational." And we have our farmers to thank for that. They look after the land. So I'll cover the science in a later bulletin. But if we don't stand up, we're going to get knocked over. If we don't stand up, we are the German population of 2023. And we stood by and did nothing. Now you owe it to your children to research what science says. Stand up to this next level of dictatorship that will put us all back into the Middle Ages. The United Nations have just pulled off the biggest scam in history. The head of the UN said, climate change is my religion. The Paris Accord has given them more money than they ever imagined. No wonder the UN love this. They indoctrinate our children. They don't get taught science at school anymore. They get taught how to protest. They get taught to be emotional. Well, emotion and science do not correlate. Wake up, everybody. Stand up to this tyranny. Thank you all for listening. I'm not funded by anyone. I love this planet. And I want us all to put a stop to this madness before it's far too late.